It was a dark and stormy night, just like the one we're having now. I was in high school back in the late 90s, and my friends and I were gathered at my buddy Dave's house for a sleepover. We were all huge fans of punk rock, and that night, we decided to crank up the Misfits to set the mood for some scary stories. As the rain poured outside and the music blared in the background, we huddled together with flashlights, trying to outdo each other with the creepiest stories we could muster. But little did we know that the most bone-chilling story would come from my own high school experience. You see, my high school was rumored to be haunted. It was an old, imposing building with creaky wooden floors and eerie, dimly lit hallways. Stories of strange occurrences had been circulating for years, but I always dismissed them as mere urban legends, until that night. I began my story, trying to keep my voice steady as the thunder rumbled outside. I recounted the time I had to stay late at school to finish a project. It was a typical evening, and I was alone in the computer lab on the third floor. The fluorescent lights flickered ominously as I typed away, the only sound in the room being the hum of the ancient computers. As I was working, I heard faint footsteps in the hallway outside. I figured it was just a janitor or a teacher, so I ignored it. But then the footsteps grew louder and closer, as if someone was approaching the lab. I felt a chill run down my spine as I turned to look at the door, but there was no one there. I continued working, trying to convince myself that it was all in my head. That's when I heard it. The unmistakable sound of a child's laughter echoing through the empty hallway. My heart raced, and I quickly shut down my computer, intending to get out of there as fast as I could. But as I reached for the doorknob, the lights in the lab flickered and went out, plunging me into total darkness. Panic set in as I fumbled for my flashlight. When I finally turned it on, I saw something that still haunts me to this day. In the dim beam of my flashlight, I could make out the silhouette of a little girl standing at the far end of the room. She was dressed in an old-fashioned school uniform, her face obscured by long, dark hair. She just stood there, staring at me with hollow, soulless eyes. I screamed and stumbled backward, slamming into a desk and knocking over a chair. When I regained my composure and shone the flashlight back in her direction,